In some of our previous lectures, we've touched upon our main.storyboard. What this file is basically where we design the interfaces to our applications. So when we want to kind of add buttons or images to it and design how our application looks, it all revolves around our interface builder, which is our main.storyboard. Now, when you first create a project, you're going to be generated a simple UI view controller within your storyboard. This is the first view that loads up when our application is built and run. And as you can see here, it's not really particularly sized to an iPhone or even an iPad screen. So this is just a general undefined view itself. Now within the interface builder, this main section here where our view is in, this is where we add and display all of our views. When we select our view, on the left there, you're then given a drop down list of all the objects from within it. So you can see we got our view controller here, which is the whole view selected, and from within it we have a view, which is what is going to be displayed to our user's device. On the right hand side, we have the list of all the options we can select and choose from it. We also have down below all the objects that we can add to it. So if we scroll down to find a button. Now to add objects to our interface, all we simply need to do is select them from the list and drag and drop them over, as you can see there now. And on the left, you can now see that our view now has a button from within it. And we can select the different objects either from the left menu on the side or actually from the interface itself and move around and drag them and place them exactly where we want. Now, as I said before, this is not really defined to an actual iPhone screen size or even an iPad. So what you want to do is select what's known as the files owner on our view controller here. Now, on the right hand side here, we have a number of options that we can select. We have our connections inspector, which shows us all the link connections to the objects on the screen, which we have our view linked up to our connection of this view controller. We have the size inspector, which when we select an object, we can resize its properties. So at the moment, this button is width of 46 pixels. I can change it to 100. And you can see it gets bigger on my screen. We can even change the positioning to where it's being displayed. So I set that to like 50 and then moves it across. So that's where we change the size, or alternatively, we can just resize the button itself within the simulator. Then we have the attributes inspector. This is where we can customize the attributes of the object that we are selected on. For example, we've got our button here. I can then change the text color from within it. I can change the font of it to go custom. And we can give it something weird or anything like that. You see the custom font changing there. And we can do a lot of things within our attributes inspector, which changes the behavior and look and feel of the objects within our view. We also have our identity inspector. Now this is used to identify each of the objects. Most importantly, it identifies, if I select my files owner of our view controller, that within the class it's selected to view controller, which is the kind of classes that's generated within our project that control this view. Now if we select our files owner of our UI view controller here and go to the attributes inspector, we then have a number of attributes we can actually change for the view itself. For example, we can change the size of it, where at the moment it's an inferred size. We can change it to a smaller iPhone 3.5 inch screen, which you can see it kind of generates and moves there. And we can change it to the largest 5.5 inch screen, which is quite big. And you can see how your application looks with these different kind of views and screen sizes. We can also change the orientation to maybe go to the landscape. We can even change the status bar style, what's displayed at the top bar, whether it's a navigation bar, or maybe at the bottom, whether you select to use a tab bar. It's entirely up to us how we design our interfaces within our application. Now, as we have one storyboard file and we have a numerous amounts of different screen sizes in terms of application development, the great thing about our storyboard is we can create one interface that works on all devices. And further on in the course, when we talk about constraints, which are located at the bottom right of our interface builder, where we have the option to simply resolve any auto layer issues, where we can add in constraints on selected objects. There you go there. And so when I resize my project and get bigger and smaller, for example, I'll go small there, it resizes and makes sure that the button stays center. So I'll give you a quick demonstration. If I center this object and then change the view to a small iPhone, it doesn't really go center. It's not until I add constraints, I'll just add in some quick missing ones, that then when I resize my view, that the button stays centered. Now we talk about constraints in a greater detail when we go further on in the course and how we can use them to create universal views. But as we progress through the course and we design more and more applications, we're going to be using the Interface Builder in almost every lecture. And by the end of the course, using the Interface Builder will become a second nature and you'll know exactly what to do. Now within all our objects here contain all the possible kind of stuff we can add to our interfaces, where we've already pre-added a button. We can choose to add a text field, and this is used to add text into our project, so we can use it to basically create like a contact form or anything like that. We have sliders that can adjust the values of some of the properties within our view. We even have stuff like if I scroll down now, we can add image views, which if you add images kind of added into our project, we can refer them into it. And we've got more stuff like scroll views, text views, which display a vast amount of large information. And we've got so many objects that we can possibly add in to design the interfaces of our project. But even just adding them in can look a little bit better. This is where we can adjust them with an attributes inspector, and when we use our code to populate them with information and get them to perform the actions that we want, that our application starts to come alive. So like I said before, we're going to be using the Interface Builder in almost every lecture within this course. So by the time you finish this course, you'll be a seasoned pro with the Interface Builder and know exactly how to use it to create the stunning visual effects that your application is going to perform.